The elevator climbed 47 floors in silence. Michael Sterling checked his Rolex, 6 a.m. sharp, 3 hours before anyone else would arrive at Blackstone and Associates. The doors opened to reveal the pristine marble lobby of Manhattan's most prestigious law firm, where everything gleamed under perfectly positioned lighting. His corner office overlooked Central Park, a view that cost the firm more than most people made in a year. Michael set his Italian leather briefcase on the mahogany desk and straightened his Harvard law diploma. The gold lettering caught the morning light, a daily reminder of how far he'd climbed from his working-class roots in Ohio. "Good morning, Mr. Sterling." The security guard's voice echoed from the hallway. Michael barely glanced up from his case files. These people were background noise: security, maintenance, cleaning crew. They kept the machine running while real professionals handled important matters. His phone buzzed. "Cassie." "Michael, you promised we'd finalize the engagement party details today. The venue needs confirmation." I know. But this Hartwell Industries case just landed on my desk. It's huge, Cass. Everything's huge with you. When was the last time we had dinner together? Really together. Not you answering emails between courses." Michael rubbed his temples. Cassie didn't understand the pressure. She had her marketing executive position handed to her through connections. He'd fought for every step. "Look, once I make partner, it's always once I make partner. What happens after that? Once I make senior partner, once I make managing partner." The line went dead. Michael stared at his phone, then buried himself in the Hartwell files. Multi-billion-dollar labor violations lawsuit. Latino workers claiming discrimination at the Mexican subsidiary. This case could make his career. The mahogany conference room filled with morning light as partners gathered for the weekly meeting. Richard Blackstone, the firm's founding partner, commanded attention without saying a word. His silver hair and tailored suit spoke of old money and older power. "Gentlemen, ladies," Richard's voice carried the authority of 3 decades in corporate law. "Our biggest client needs our best work. Hartwell Industries faces accusations that could destroy their international operations." Michael straightened in his chair. This was it. "Michael, you'll lead the defense. Latino workers claiming systematic discrimination, wage theft, unsafe conditions, the usual complaints, but this time they have organization, media attention, political pressure. I won't let you down, sir. I know you won't. Partnership decisions are coming up. This case will determine who's ready for the next level." The meeting dissolved into individual conversations, but Michael heard none of it. Partnership, finally. After 12 years of 16-hour days, missed dinners, forgotten anniversaries, Cassie would understand once he made partner. Everything would be different. By evening, the office emptied except for Michael and his stack of Hartwell documents. The cleaning crew arrived at 10, moving through the halls like ghosts. One woman pushed her cart past his office. Sophia something. He'd heard her name mentioned. She'd worked here for months, maybe years. He'd never bothered to learn. She knocked softly on his doorframe. "Excuse me, sir. Should I come back later? Just work around me." Michael didn't look up from his files. "And don't touch anything on the desk." "Of course, sir." Sophia moved quietly through his office, emptying trash bins and dusting surfaces. Michael caught glimpses of her in his peripheral vision. Short, maybe 40, moving with the efficiency of someone who'd learned to be invisible. Her presence irritated him. He had important work to do. The Hartwell case sprawled across his desk in thick folders and legal briefs. International labor law, cultural considerations, language barriers. Michael had handled corporate mergers, SEC violations, intellectual property disputes. How different could this be? The clock on Michael's computer showed 11 p.m. when Sophia returned to his office. He'd been hunched over the same documents for hours, yellow highlighter staining his fingertips, legal pads covered in his aggressive handwriting. Coffee cups formed a small graveyard on his desk's edge. "Still here, sir?" Sophia wheeled her cart closer to his desk. Michael grunted without looking up. The Hartwell Industries files consumed his attention. Depositions from Mexican workers, employment records, safety violation reports. The sheer volume overwhelmed him, but he'd never admit it. Sophia began cleaning around his workspace, her movements practiced and silent. As she emptied his trash bin, her eyes caught fragments of the scattered documents. Hartwell Industries, Guadalajara facility. Her breath caught. She recognized the company letterhead immediately. The logo that had hung in the HR office where she'd worked for 3 years before coming to America. The same corporate structure. The same policies she'd tried to reform from within. "Careful," Michael snapped as Sophia's cleaning cloth grazed his coffee cup. "Sorry, sir." She steadied the cup, but not before seeing the witness statement beneath it. Maria Gonzalez, age 34, factory line supervisor. Sophia knew that name. They'd worked together, shared lunch breaks, discussed the impossible conditions and management's deaf ears. Michael gathered papers possessively. "These are confidential legal documents. Just clean and move on." "Of course, sir." But Sophia had already seen enough. The witness statements, the employment records, the safety reports. Michael was approaching everything wrong. He treated the workers like numbers on a spreadsheet, not people with families and dignity and rights that went beyond what American law recognized. She continued cleaning, dusting his bookshelves lined with corporate law texts. Not a single volume on international labor standards or human rights jurisprudence. No books on Mexican employment law or cultural workplace dynamics. Michael was preparing to defend against allegations he didn't understand, representing a company whose practices he'd never witnessed. "I need more coffee." Michael stood abruptly, gathering his jacket. "Don't touch anything while I'm gone." Sophia nodded, watching him disappear toward the elevator. The moment the doors closed, she moved to his desk. The documents told a story she knew by heart. Systematic wage reductions disguised as efficiency measures. Safety equipment that existed on paper but never reached the factory floor. Promotion policies that favored light-skinned workers over indigenous employees. Pregnancy discrimination hidden behind restructuring initiatives. Michael's legal strategy focused entirely on technical jurisdictional challenges and procedural delays. He planned to argue that Mexican labor law didn't apply to American corporate decisions, that cultural differences excused discriminatory practices, that worker complaints reflected unrealistic expectations rather than genuine violations. Sophia's hands trembled as she read his preliminary brief. Every argument would humiliate the workers, portray them as dishonest opportunists seeking easy money from rich Americans. The same dismissive attitudes that had driven her from HR work into late-night cleaning shifts. She glanced toward the elevator, then back at the chaos on Michael's desk. Quietly, she began reorganizing the documents. Instead of random stacks, she arranged them chronologically, grouping related incidents together. She placed Maria Gonzalez's testimony on top. Maria, who'd lost 3 fingers to an unguarded machine because safety gloves reduced productivity. Beneath Maria's statement, Sophia positioned the safety equipment purchase orders. The record showed Hartwell buying protective gear, but warehouse receipts revealed the equipment never left Mexico City. Someone had been selling safety equipment and pocketing the money while workers faced dangerous conditions. The elevator dinged in the distance. Sophia quickly returned to her cleaning cart, spraying window cleaner on glass surfaces that didn't need cleaning. Michael returned with fresh coffee, settling back into his chair without acknowledging her presence. He reached for his papers, then paused. Something was different. The documents seemed more organized, patterns more visible. He picked up Maria Gonzalez's testimony, reading it properly for the first time. Then the safety equipment records. His eyebrows furrowed as connections became clear. Sophia finished cleaning his windows and moved toward the door, her cartwheels squeaking softly on the marble floor. The next morning brought Michael's first real attempt at witness contact. He dialed the number for Carlos Mendoza, a former Hartwell supervisor whose testimony could make or break the case. "Bueno? Hello. This is Michael Sterling from Blackstone and Associates. I need to speak with Carlos Mendoza about the Hartwell Industries lawsuit." Rapid Spanish followed, none of which Michael understood. He raised his voice, as if volume could bridge the language gap. "English. Do you speak English? I'm a lawyer representing Hartwell Industries." The line went dead. Michael slammed the phone down, frustration building with each failed call. 3 more attempts yielded similar results. Frightened voices, abrupt hang-ups, or family members who spoke broken English but refused to help company lawyers. By afternoon, his patience had evaporated. When Elena Ramirez, a factory safety inspector, finally answered in accented English, Michael's corporate arrogance took over. "Listen, I don't have time for games. Your people filed this lawsuit. Now you need to cooperate. We can make this easy or difficult." "My people." Elena's voice turned cold. "The workers, the complainants, Look, I'm trying to help here, but if you're going to be difficult about basic questions. Elena hung up. Michael stared at his phone, realizing his mistake too late. Word would spread through the Latino community. The lawyer representing Hartwell had just proven their suspicions about corporate legal teams. That evening, Sophia arrived to find Michael's desk covered with unopened newspapers. As she cleaned, she noticed the Wall Street Journal article about a similar case in Texas, Latino workers winning unprecedented damages against a multinational corporation. She left it strategically positioned near his computer. Michael's phone buzzed. Cassie's name flashed on the screen. "You missed it," she said without preamble. "Missed what?" "The venue appointment. Michael, we were supposed to finalize our engagement party today. I sat alone with the wedding planner for 2 hours." Michael's stomach dropped. "Cass, I'm sorry. This case is consuming everything. Everything except us. I can't keep waiting for you to remember I exist," Cassie continued. "We're supposed to be planning our future together, but you're more invested in this case than our relationship." Michael rubbed his forehead, watching Sophia move quietly through his office. 2 weeks, and Cass, give me 2 weeks to get this under control." The call ended in silence. Sophia finished emptying his trash and moved toward the door, but not before she heard her name mentioned in the hallway. Richard Blackstone's voice carried through the marble corridors. "Michael better show progress on Hartwell, or I'm reassigning the case. Partnership consideration depends on results, not excuses." Her step faltered. She knew that tone, the same dismissive authority that had crushed her hopes at Hartwell's Guadalajara office, management that made promises while planning replacements. That night, Sophia arrived home to find her mother Maria sitting in the dark, staring at photographs of people she could no longer name. "Mommy, why aren't your lights on?" Maria looked up with confused eyes. "I don't live here. This isn't my house." Sophia's heart broke anew. The Alzheimer's was worsening, and the experimental treatments Dr. Rodriguez recommended cost more than her 3 jobs combined. Night cleaning at Blackstone, weekend housekeeping for wealthy Manhattan families, and early morning shifts at the grocery store barely covered Maria's basic medications. "It's me, Mommy, Sophia. This is our home." "Sophia?" Maria's face brightened momentarily. "My lawyer daughter. When do you graduate from law school?" Sophia forced a smile. "Soon, Mommy. Very soon." The next evening, Sophia returned to Blackstone to hear Michael on another conference call with Richard. Through his open door, she caught fragments of the conversation. 2 weeks isn't enough time to build a proper defense. Then work faster. Or I'll find someone who can. Sophia made her decision. After Michael left that night, she accessed the firm's law library, pulling volumes on international labor standards and cross-border employment law. Her Mexican law degree covered jurisdictional complexities American lawyers rarely encountered. She worked through her break, drafting a comprehensive brief on precedential cases involving multinational corporations and worker rights. Her fingers remembered the legal language she'd abandoned for cleaning supplies and industrial vacuum cleaners. Before dawn, she printed the document and left it in Michael's printer tray, knowing he'd discover it first thing in the morning. Michael discovered the brief at 6:30 a.m. emerging from the printer like a gift from the legal gods. 20 pages of sophisticated analysis on international labor law, complete with case citations he'd never heard of, and jurisdictional arguments that addressed every weakness in his defense strategy. He read it twice, amazement growing with each page. Whoever wrote this understood both American and Mexican legal systems intimately. The writing style was precise, academic, and thoroughly professional, far beyond anything his associates could produce. For 3 days, he questioned everyone. Junior associates denied knowledge. Paralegals shrugged. Senior partners looked at him strangely when he described the mysterious legal brief. His answer came Thursday night when he decided to work through until dawn. At 2 a.m., he heard soft voices from the library and discovered Sophia hunched over thick legal texts, yellow highlighter in hand, surrounded by international law journals. "And what are you doing?" Sophia looked up, startled. Her cleaning cart sat abandoned in the hallway, and legal documents covered the library table. "I'm sorry, sir, I was just—" "You wrote that brief." It wasn't a question. Sophia's guilty expression confirmed his suspicion. "I have a law degree." The words tumbled out quickly. Universidad Nacional Autónoma de Mexico. "But it's not recognized here. I've been studying for the bar exam, trying to understand American legal system." Michael stared at her, his worldview tilting. "You're a lawyer. I was in Mexico. I specialized in labor law and international commerce. Sophia began gathering her books. I should return to work. Wait. Michael sat across from her. How do you know so much about the Hartwell case? Sophia hesitated, then met his eyes. I worked there, in Guadalajara, human resources coordinator for 3 years before I came to America. Before Michael could respond, his phone rang. The key plaintiff witness, Eduardo Santos, was calling through his attorney. Mr. Sterling, my client refuses all cooperation with Hartwell's legal team. He says corporate lawyers can't be trusted to tell worker stories honestly. The line went dead, leaving Michael staring at Sophia with new understanding. Michael spent the next day fighting his pride. Partnership hung in the balance, and every witness contact failed. Eduardo Santos's refusal meant losing their strongest defense testimony. By evening, desperation outweighed ego. He found Sophia organizing files in the library during her break. I need your help. Sophia looked up, surprised by his directness. The workers won't trust me. They see corporate lawyer and assume I'm the enemy. Michael sat down heavily. You understand both sides. You could make the difference. Why should I help someone who treats cleaning staff like furniture? The accusation stung because it was true. You're right. I've been an ass. But this case matters. For both of us. Sophia considered carefully. I have conditions. You treat all staff with respect. Real respect, not performance. And you help me find resources to validate my law degree in America. Done. And I'm not your assistant. We're partners on this case. Michael nodded in extending his hand. Partners. Their first working session revealed the depth of Sophia's insider knowledge. She'd witnessed the discriminatory practices firsthand, documented safety violations, and knew which managers had implemented illegal policies. Regional Director Lopez created separate promotion tracks. Sophia explained, spreading employee files across the table. Our indigenous workers were systematically excluded from advancement. I have the internal memos. Michael stared at documents that could destroy Hartwell's defense completely. Meanwhile, Cassie discovered Michael's new collaboration when she stopped by his office unannounced and found him working late with Sophia, their heads bent together over legal documents, sharing takeout Chinese food. So this is why you've been unavailable, Cassie said coldly. Cassian, this is Sophia. She's helping with the case. The cleaning lady is helping with your career-defining case. Sophia quietly gathered her papers. I should go. No, Michael said firmly. Sophia is a qualified attorney providing crucial consultation. Cassie's eyes flashed. And I'm your fiancé who hasn't seen you in weeks. When did your cleaning lady become more important than our relationship? The confrontation ended with Cassie storming out and Sophia working in uncomfortable silence. But Michael's transformation had begun, and there was no turning back. Take me to meet them, Michael said the next evening. The workers, the community. I need to understand what really happened. Sophia led him to Queens, to a community center where former Hartwell employees gathered for support meetings. The room fell silent when Michael entered, a white man in an expensive suit among families struggling with unemployment and deportation fears. This is Michael, Sophia announced in Spanish, then English. He's representing Hartwell, but he wants to hear your stories truthfully. Suspicion filled the room. Maria Gonzalez spoke first, showing her scarred hands. Why should we trust another corporate lawyer? Michael listened to story after story. Workers denied bathroom breaks. Safety equipment sold instead of distributed. Pregnant women fired for missing work during medical emergencies. Each testimony revealed systematic cruelty disguised as business efficiency. By the evening's end, Michael had collected testimonies that could revolutionize the case. But walking to Sophia's car, they encountered Roberto Varga, a community leader. Sophia, you're making a mistake, he said in Spanish. These lawyers will use our words against us, make us look like complainers and liars. He's different, Roberto. They're all the same when money is involved. At home, Sophia found her mother more confused than ever, unable to recognize the apartment or remember Sophia's name. Dr. Rodriguez's call that evening confirmed her worst fears. Maria needed immediate placement in specialized care that insurance wouldn't cover. The next 2 weeks transformed everything. Michael and Sophia worked through the nights, developing a revolutionary legal strategy that combined U.S. labor law with international human rights principles. Michael learned Spanish legal terms, practiced pronunciation, and began greeting every firm employee by name. Buenos dias, Carmen, he said to the receptionist. ¿Cómo está su familia? The change shocked everyone. Junior associates whispered about Michael's sudden interest in janitors and security guards. But the legal strategy they developed was brilliant, positioning Hartwell's violations not just as employment disputes, but as human rights abuses that transcended national boundaries. The personal costs mounted daily. Cassie's patience finally shattered during a dinner she'd planned for weeks. I'm done, Michael. Choose this obsession with work and your cleaning lady partner, or a future with me. Sophia is not. I don't care what she is. I care that you've become someone I don't recognize. You're more invested in her problems than our relationship. Cassie placed her engagement ring on the table. 2 days. Decide what matters more. That night, Sophia collapsed in Michael's office. 3 jobs, studying, and her mother's deteriorating condition had pushed her past exhaustion. Michael drove her to the hospital, where he met Maria for the first time, a confused woman who kept asking for her lawyer daughter while holding Sophia's cleaning uniform. She doesn't remember I clean offices, Sophia whispered. She thinks I'm still practicing law. Richard Blackstone discovered the collaboration Monday morning when he found Sophia reviewing legal documents in Michael's office at 7 a.m. Explain this immediately. Michael's blood turned cold. Sir, Sophia has been providing consultation. Our cleaning staff is providing legal consultation. Have you lost your mind? Richard's voice could freeze steel. This is grounds for immediate termination. Both of you. The crisis deepened when Hartwell's opposing counsel filed a motion to dismiss based on jurisdictional challenges, attacking the very international law foundation that Michael and Sophia had built their strategy upon. Months of work threatened to crumble in a single court filing. Cassie's ultimatum expired without response. She collected her belongings from his apartment, while Michael sat in the hospital with Sophia, watching Maria slip further into confusion. She doesn't know me anymore, Sophia whispered, tears streaming down her face. The doctors say specialized care could slow the progression, but I can't afford it. I can't even afford the basic medications. Dr. Rodriguez approached with grave news. Without immediate intervention, we're looking at rapid cognitive decline. The experimental treatment program could help, but it costs $30,000 up front. Michael stared at his empty apartment that evening. No Cassie, no engagement ring, no future he'd planned. His phone showed 17 missed calls from Blackstone and a formal meeting scheduled for tomorrow morning. The Hartwell case lay in ruins, his partnership prospects destroyed, and Sophia faced losing her mother to a disease that money could treat. Standing in his kitchen, Michael faced the defining choice of his life. Michael walked into Richard Blackstone's office the next morning with his decision made. Richard, Sophia Hernandez is the most qualified international labor attorney I've ever worked with. Fire me if you want, but she deserves credit and compensation for saving this case. You're defending unauthorized assistance from cleaning staff. I'm defending a brilliant legal mind that your firm has been wasting. Michael placed his savings account statement on Richard's desk. I'm using my own money to ensure Sophia can care for her mother. That's what partners do. They support each other. Richard stared at the bank statement showing Michael's entire savings, enough to cover Maria's treatment. You're risking your career for a janitor. I'm investing in justice. Together, Michael and Sophia crafted their response to the dismissal motion. Sophia's insider knowledge provided the missing piece: internal Hartwell emails proving deliberate violation of international treaties. Their counter-argument was devastating, combining Sophia's cultural understanding with Michael's courtroom experience. As they prepared for the crucial hearing, Sophia received an unexpected call from Mexico. Hernandez and Associates offers you senior partnership, the voice said in Spanish. Triple your current salary, full benefits, and we'll relocate your mother to our private medical facility. Sophia looked at Michael, then at the case files that could change everything for Latino workers in America. I need time to decide. The biggest choice of her life had arrived just as their partnership reached its peak, the federal courthouse buzzing with tension as Michael and Sophia entered together. In the gallery, Latino community members filled every seat, some who had initially opposed Sophia's collaboration now watching with cautious hope. All rise for the Honorable Judge Patricia Morales. Michael felt the irony. A Latina judge would hear their case about Latino workers' rights. Mr. Sterling, you may proceed with your response to the motion to dismiss. Michael stood, then turned to Sophia. Your Honor, I'd like to introduce my co-counsel, Sophia Hernandez, legal consultant specializing in international labor law. Murmurs filled the courtroom. Hartwell's legal team exchanged confused glances. They'd prepared to face Michael alone. Sophia approached the podium with quiet dignity. "Your Honor, this case transcends jurisdictional technicalities. We're addressing systematic human rights violations that American courts have both authority and obligation to address." Her presentation was flawless. Speaking in precise legal language, she dismantled Hartwell's jurisdictional arguments while weaving together international treaties, bilateral labor agreements, and human rights precedents. When she quoted Mexican labor law in Spanish, then provided English translation, even opposing counsel looked impressed. Michael followed with emotional testimony from workers, their voices finally heard through his respectful interpretation. Maria Gonzalez's scarred hands became exhibits. Eduardo Santos's deportation fears transformed into constitutional protections for all workers. Hartwell Industries deliberately violated international labor standards, Michael argued, knowing that cultural and linguistic barriers would prevent workers from seeking justice. Sophia presented the internal emails, executives laughing about stupid Mexican workers who wouldn't understand their rights anyway. The courtroom fell silent as systematic cruelty was exposed in corporate language. Judge Morales asked pointed questions that Sophia answered with stunning expertise. Her knowledge of precedential cases impressed everyone, including Richard Blackstone, who had initially come to fire both attorneys but now watched in amazement. When opposing counsel attempted to dismiss worker testimony as cultural misunderstandings, Sophia's response was devastating. "Your Honor, dignity is not a cultural construct. Safety is not a cultural preference. Justice does not recognize borders when human rights are violated." The gallery erupted in applause before Judge Morales restored order. "Motion to dismiss is denied," Judge Morales announced. "Furthermore, based on evidence presented, I'm recommending federal investigation into Hartwell Industries' international labor practices." Victory was complete and overwhelming. In the hallway, Roberto Varga approached Sophia with tears in his eyes. Forgive me," he said in Spanish. "You never forgot who you were fighting for." Richard Blackstone pulled Michael aside. His expression transformed from anger to respect. "That was extraordinary. Both of you." 3 months later, success had redefined itself completely. Richard Blackstone's offer came first, Director of International Labor Law, with the firm paying for Sophia's UAS, bar certification, and providing a salary that would secure her mother's care permanently. "You've revolutionized how we approach these cases," Richard explained. "Clients are specifically requesting our cultural competency expertise." But Sophia's Mexican firm had sweetened their offer too: senior partnership, family medical coverage, and a promise to cover Maria's specialized treatment in Mexico City's finest facility. Michael faced his own crossroads. The partnership he'd craved for 12 years lay within reach, but so did something unexpected: a position with the Public Interest Law Center, representing immigrant communities at a fraction of his corporate salary. "I never thought I'd consider leaving Blackstone," he told Sophia as they reviewed their latest pro bono case in his office. "What would you do?" "Help people who can't afford justice. Use everything you taught me about dignity and respect." Sophia smiled, remembering the arrogant man who'd barely acknowledged her existence months earlier. "And Cassie?" Michael's phone had been ringing for weeks. Cassie wanting to reconcile, promising to accept his transformation if he could balance work with personal life. "She represents everything I used to want," Michael said quietly. "Status, conventional success, the right connections. But I'm not that person anymore." Sophia faced her own romantic consideration. Dr. Eduardo Martinez from the Mexican firm had been calling, interested in both professional collaboration and personal possibilities. "My mother is stable now, thanks to you," Sophia said. "She has good days where she remembers I'm her daughter, the lawyer, not the cleaning lady. You were always a lawyer. I just couldn't see it." Their decision came naturally. Sophia accepted Blackstone's offer, becoming the firm's first Latina director. Michael took the public interest position, with Sophia consulting on international cases. They'd learned that success meant service, that wisdom came from unexpected places, and that partnership transcended office hierarchies. The final scene found them in Sophia's new office. Mahogany desk, law degree prominently displayed, view of Manhattan that she'd earned through brilliance rather than inheritance. They were preparing a pro bono case for detained asylum seekers, their legal expertise combined with cultural understanding that made justice possible. Director Hernandez, Michael said with genuine respect, ready to change some more lives. Sophia looked out at the city where she'd once pushed a cleaning cart through marble hallways, where she'd been invisible until someone finally chose to see. Let's get to work, counselor. Their friendship had transformed them both, proving that partnership could emerge from the most unlikely places, and that true success was measured not in corner offices or partnership tracks, but in the lives they touched and the justice they served together.